Okay, welcome everybody to Chalice and Chains. And if you are watching this at some point on Roleplay Cafe, that's awesome too. Welcome to you. We are running another session of Dark Age of Man. We are not running our regularly sessioned Chronicle today because one of the players couldn't make it. But we have decided to do kind of a one-off adventure, Viking themed, but set in the same time and in the same sort of storyline. And we will see if this can shed some light on some of what's going on, the politics and the flesh out the setting a little bit more, apart from where the characters in our main chronicle are going to be and what they're experiencing. So this adventure, I'll kind of give the setup, and then I'm going to let the players introduce themselves and their characters, and then we'll jump into it. But the setup, this takes place roughly in the same time as the Chronicle. I've called my Chronicle Saints and Sinners, but it's taking place in Ayerland, far to the north. The Queen of Ayerland, Marianne Osbert Leinster, has abandoned Doblun because it's become a bit untenuous. There's a major Viking invasion force there, and the clans have been a bit restless of late. And so she resides in the Queen's Keep in Western England, closer to her father, King Osbert of Northwich. But as we know from our Chronicle, she has sent a missive to him wondering if he is at all responsible for some of the Dane raids that have been going on, or if he is willing to lend help in the defense of Doblun. But in the meantime, her steward is in place in Doblun, and he's in charge of the defense of the city. The clans, unable to get assistance from the Queen to fight off the invasion, have grown a bit desperate and are looking to either placate the Danes or, better yet, turn them against their rival clans. So there's a lot of dangerous politics going on. And so with that backdrop in place, I will let our players introduce themselves and their characters. So Del, I'll start with you. You go ahead.
Okay. I am Grom the Old. That's what they reference me as. I'm sitting in my encampment around a pot of gruel, which I like to at least think is stew to some extent. Sipping some. My eyes have been not as well as they once were in my youth. And I've traveled with Ivar for most of his exploits. I consider myself well established in his encampment, even though there are others who might contest that or feel a little bit more. But I see it, in my thoughts, waiting pensively as far as word from Ivar to see where we head next, as I calculate what my move should be to counter any of the other of Ivar's close colleagues,
Advisors or whatever. Yeah,
advisors.
Cool. And I think Grom would probably hear the rumblings within the camp of people kind of whispering and referring to him as Grom the Cursed, because most Danes do not become this old if they're warriors. And so Valhalla has eluded you. You've had to live and fight in Midgard for so long. And I imagine you have lots of scars and bruises and stuff to hint at that that level of commitment to
white. His cheek is crushed in and like that. So he's got some disformity on the side of his face. I did mean to mention that, but
Yeah. Oh,
good.
great. Yeah, and so it's interesting because for a lot of the warriors, they look upon you with respect, of course, because you're a venerable warrior and still quite capable. But at the same time, they're like, oh gosh, like how has Valhalla eluded him to this point? So yeah. So we've got that, and Jory, if you don't mind, go ahead and introduce your character. And you're on mute in case you don't know.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's
I'm
okay.
on push to talk, I guess.
No
I was
worries.
off the window. So I'm playing Yakra. I'm a seer that's been kind of following. Started out just kind of following Ivor around, trying to get in close with him, and eventually, I guess he recognized that I was like doing bone readings for him and trying to get in close, and I guess he's kind of let me follow and continue doing that. Just to kind of take what I say into consideration. Right now, I'm just kind of isolating myself. Maybe I've found a tree to huddle up under and kind of stay away from the group and just let the spirits talk to me.
Okay. Very cool. Excuse me, sorry. And what would be the approximate age for Yakra? Is kind of an older, younger seer?
Yeah, I'm imagining like an older crone that
Yeah.
maybe is just trying to get into like a comfortable position with like an up and coming leader.
Sure. And is Yakra female or male?
She is now.
Okay. Either way, cool. All right, awesome. So you've been in the camp for a little bit, kind of wisely trying to sort of tie your coattails to one of the great, Viking warriors. One of the we'll borrow a little bit from Hollywood here. One of the sons of the legendary Ragnar Lothbrok. But Ivar has made a name for himself. And while he also has deformities and is considered a cripple, he is a venerable warrior and is also a incredibly devious tactician. So people who have sailed under him and raided under him think highly of him. Often they are scared of him, wisely so, but they also know that he tends to win and he tends to make himself and his people rich. And so he has kind of shared with the invasion force that the goal here is not just to raid Ayerland, which you guys have been doing for quite a long time, but to gain a foothold. And so for the last couple of months, you've had a few, there's been an expansion of little forts and trading posts along the coast. And there have been small skirmishes between some of the clans in Ayerland and your force, but you've always fought them off. And you haven't seen much from the ruler, the Christian ruler of this land. As far as you all know, there's some sort of connection between the queen that's supposed to rule in the big city, which is called Doblun, and the king to the lands to the south, which your fellow Danes have been raiding as well. But so far, she has left. And so the city seems like it might be ripe for the taking, especially with a large invasion force that you have. So you have been tasked to strike up a communication or perhaps even a treaty with the clans to see if you can gain some backing of the local clans to help take over Dublin and rule But Ivar, being very smart, realizes that a Dane ruler may not go over well. So if you can at least have a steward or a local kind of puppet king or queen on the throne, that would probably go better. So initially, you had made your way outside of a small clan stronghold. This was Clan Coughlin. And the idea was that you were going to attempt to speak with them and gain some idea as to whether or not they might want to enter into some kind of agreement with you, alliance or whatever, with the ultimate plan of taking over Doblun. But as you've been sitting and waiting, they initially met as you guys showed up. They closed their palisade. They went behind their walls. They were worried about a fight, and they barricaded. And you've been trying to communicate, say, hey, no, we just want to talk, right? And but being the violent history of your people, they have been slow to believe you. However, negotiations have started. There have been talk of hostages and whatever while you communicate, but so far there has been nothing. And Ivar's getting impatient. And so he has said, we will give them 2 more days or we will attack this settlement. And in that time, showing up in the region have been some people who have told you that they are from Clan Maguire. And they have mentioned that they are rivals of Clan Coughlin, and that one of them is able to speak your tongue, speak Danish. This is kind of an older man. He looks more like a merchant than a warrior. You get the impression he may have done a lot of like trade and sailing and whatever. And so he can speak your tongue. And they also have a priest with them that can also speak your language. And so they've been communicating, saying, "Hey, don't mess with the Coughlins. With the Coughlins. They're a weaker clan. They're not worth it. Come talk to us, Clan Maguire. We'll help you." And so, right now, things are at a bit of a precipice because Ivar is more than happy to speak with the Maguires, but he's also, as a show of force, saying, if you don't at least speak with us, we will burn down your fort in 2 days. So, but he has had to tend to other pressing business as, the land, the people, the clans are not sitting idle, right? So there have been other attacks and other things going on that he's had to attend to. So you guys are a small band of warriors that have come here to negotiate. And would you, Grom, you could let me know, would you be leading this force, or would you be perhaps like a trusted underling to the leader of this particular force?
I would think I could be the leader of this force.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm sitting out here and I've been disposed to contact Clan Coughlin,
yes,
with express intent of attacking them if they don't at least respond in 2 days from now, I am truthfully sitting there as I was using over the fact of being separated from Ivar, and the others have his ear. And it's almost like I've been pushed out of the way, at least, seemingly set up for failure. I stand up, and I know all the sideways glances of all my other clansmen as they look at me. It's cursed, says,
yeah.
I'm dragging them along with me.
Nice.
I stand up and sling the bowl to the side, down the gruel I was partaking in, and I walk over. I'm looking for that witch that is with us. I'm trying to remember her name. Is Yakra. Yakra. And I call out for her, and I walked in, and I look at the others. Like immediately, they need to let me know where she's located if they see her last. Right. So this what I'm doing. I look for any of them to give me a glance of where her location is if she responds. Have you seen her, the witch?
Um,
Casting
yeah.
bones about?
Well, and so I think everybody would know where Yakra is. Jory, because again, having a seer in the camp would be noticeable. Some people might be nervous of that. Some people might find that to be a good omen. But Yakra, Jory, why don't you go ahead and describe what sort of the reaction of the camp or who would be responding to Grom, and then how you and Grom connect.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the people are probably kind of wary of being near Yakra, and Yakra's kind of the same, just kind of isolating, maybe picked a hilltop nearby to kind of hang out on top of. But I think everybody would kind of know the direction that she kind of wandered off to once camp was settled down. So
yeah.
Okay. Well,
I think hearing the call of the name, everybody's heads kind of like turn in sync in that direction, like up to that hill.
Yeah, and a bit of foreboding, and I catch the glances, and then turn on my heel and up there, huh? I see her, and I'll stomp my way up the hill to get to you, and I'm calling your name openly. Yakra, and I'll approach you. What?
Yeah,
I'll
say I don't even like notice you calling my name. I'm probably busy using the end of a stick to mash some tree root and bits of things together to make some kind of poultice, and really engrossed in that until you come right up onto me.
Okay. Yeah, and I will. I'm getting louder as I approach you, and more agitated that you haven't responded in kind to my calls. Made me walk all the way up there. Yakra, you dirty witch. Look at me when I speak to you.
I turn up with maybe a little vitriol in my eyes. And what does one such as you want from me?
I need your services. And I walk in front of you. Ivar has sent me here to speak with Clan Coughlin. He bids me wait 2 days. I'm away from his ear. The others crowd about him. Is this the way to keep me out of his mind? Is this the way to eliminate me? Roll your balls. What can you tell me?
My spirits only speak for Ivar.
Ivar. Only Ivar? What does Ivar want of me? To sit here? To wait for these dollards to come out and speak on his behalf? This is insane. I cannot just wait here.
If Sir Ivar has told you to wait, then wait you must. Unless you think you know better than he.
Okay. I glanced at the ground and then glanced up at the sky, looking for any kind of omen. It says this well seems dry to me. Looking about, I don't in vain, it would seem. And I take a step back, and if wait is what I must do, and I'll sigh like that, and then I'll take a half step back and turn on my heel and stalk down the hill back to the encampment. I'm a little bit erratic now as far as my mind's thinking about what to do. The other clan,
Clan McGuire.
Clan McGuire,
Mm-hmm.
is.
They've sent 2 men to you, right? They've sent Angus McGuire, who's one of the many children of the clan leader, and Father Argyle has been sent to you as well. He's one of the sort of the priests, right, that would be in attendance with the clan. And they've basically been trying to kind of egg you on to ignore the Coughlins and make some kind of deal with them.
Yeah, and I'm mumbling as I go down the hill or whatever. I'm a bit taken aback, and I'll get to the bottom. Are they still at this location?
Yeah, they're in your camp, and actually, at this point, almost mirroring your frustration of having to wait. A lot of the men under your command have. They've been drinking, they've been kind of carrying on because your defenses are set up, all your stuff, so it's just waiting and they're getting bored. And so you can see Angus is just right in there with them. They're all having a great time. They're drinking and they're telling stories and they're insulting each other in creative ways, and they seem to have taken quite well to the young McGuire. But at some point you hear them talking, right? And they're saying, "Oh, why do we wait? Why does Grom, the cursed, make us sit here and in this godforsaken weather? And why not just attack, plunder this village?" And you would hear, Before that, you're kind of hearing this as you're coming down, and Angus would respond, "I don't know, but I can tell you this: if you attack that palisade, you'll have no trouble. Not with your force here. That's we've raided that stronghold many a time. Those walls are just for show." And then they're like, "Yeah, we should attack," and whatever. And then you kind of come down.
Yeah, I overhear it. Grom. Hey, I'll repeat my name. Who said anything about Grom waiting? McGuire. I call him over to me. And then I'll make reference to the Palisades. You've attacked these Palisades before. They've fallen.
Oh, yes. You got to realize up here, these Palisades, they're more just, they're more for show. I mean, these go back and forth between the clans all the time.
And we look to them, and Ivar looks to them for strength?
No. Their leader is who he wishes to treat with the Sarah Coughlin. Oh, no. She's a red-haired witch. Believe me, you don't want to deal with her. She can't even hold on to her forts.
Okay, but Argyle is the one who is a Dane, right?
No, actually, neither of them are Danes. They're both from Ayerland, but they can both speak Danish, and they are speaking Danish. Unless you're because they would normally speak probably Irish Gaelic, but in this case, they're speaking in Danish. And that's why they get along so well with the camp. They don't like Father Argyle too much, but Angus, he's having a great time, and your men like him. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm talking to Angus right now. Yeah. And these Palisades fall before you. When you say they're for show, how do you circumvent them? What do you do?
Well, it depends on how quickly you want to act. I mean, you could break down the gate. Not that well reinforced, I'll tell you. Most of the time when we skirmish for these forts, it's if the enemy looks like they're going to take them, well, the defenders they'll surrender. We'll have a drink. We'll let them go. And then we occupy the fort. Now, if our laird decides it's worth the investment to strengthen the walls and the gate, then he will. If he doesn't, then we know what'll happen. So I don't suspect if you led a direct assault, you'd have too much trouble at all.
It seems right for the picking, I must say. But Ivar wishes me to wait.
Says, well,
if now, how far am I out from Ivar's encampment?
Oh, you don't know quite where Ivar is at this point. I mean, the main invasion force is largely spread along the coast. You've gone probably several days inland. Not just you, a number of forces have trying to kind of they've sort of stopped raiding a little bit, and they're trying now the diplomacy route. And so you don't quite know where Ivar is, but he's probably several days away.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I think I'm going to I'm going to have to sit tight on this one. But McGuire, Angus, will you not go forward with us to speak to Clan Coughlin? If he doesn't come out,
he starts laughing.
If he doesn't come out at our bidding, then we shall talk.
He says, "Oh, I don't know, my lord, if that's a good idea. I could go if you want, but I'll tell you, the Coughlins don't have much of a liking for us Maguires. If I go there, it may just, it might just roil their blood. I'll go if you want me to, but if you need someone local, I represent, or I suggest you take Father Argyle with you. At least he's a priest."
Okay, I should glance at the Argyle.
And you don't actually see him. Well, you do see him. You see him. He's walked kind of a little way outside of this main area up towards where Yakra was. And you kind of see him like slowly walking, just taking in the camp. But he's definitely heading in her direction.
Okay. Go get your man, and he shall come with me, and we will speak with Clan Coughlin.
Sounds
McGuire,
good. Might I finish my drink first? In fact, why don't you sit and join us? He won't be up there long. He'll annoy that your friend up there mighty quick with his preaching, and then he'll come back down all sulking. We just wait for him.
I look up the hill and good luck to him. And then I take a draft, of the ale.
Yeah.
And or the mead and sit down.
Yeah. And you're,
and watching the sidelines. Yeah. As far as that.
Yeah, for sure. So your guys are having a fun time. Angus seems quite charismatic, and as much as it's weird because you guys don't normally get this kind of reception among the locals, but this is a different sort of campaign, right, than the raids that you'd been used to. And so it's kind of nice to be able to sit and drink and eat and
I want to see how he's interacting with the guys and it's improving morale for whatever, because we've all been restless here.
Yeah. And so we'll switch over to Yakra for a minute.
Okay.
At some point, Yakra, I don't know if you are like in a tent or kind of out in the open, but you would notice the Irish priest pensively making his way up to you. He keeps looking at you, you get the impression he's trying to figure out what's the best approach. But you definitely notice him. And how do you want to respond to this situation? He's not quite to you, but he's getting close.
I think as he's about halfway up the hill, I'm going to just turn my attention on him fully and stare him down as he approaches.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And so as you do that, you see him, his step falter a little bit. And he kind of grabs this like this necklace that he has. It's got like all these beads on it, and it has like a cross on it as well. And he starts like kind of fingering the beads, and you can see he's saying something. But he, if you don't look absolutely hostile, he will muster up enough courage to come up to you. And he will look to you, and he'll say, "Aye, you be the one they call Yakra?"
Hey, Yakra's me. And I kind of turn my eyes away from him and look up toward the sky as I'm speaking to him.
Okay, and he does speak in Danish. So he says, "The rumors are they call you a witch. What? I heard that old man refer to you that way."
Witch is not the nice term. I'm a seer. I speak with the spirits, and I tell Lord Ivar what they say.
The spirits. Oh, how does? I'm curious. I'm not familiar with your ways. How is it that you contact the spirits? What ritual do you perform?
At that, I kind of shake the bag of bones that I got kind of hanging at my waist, and I maybe dump a few of them into my hand. And they speak to me through the bones, you see.
He looks confused and a little bit concerned, and he's like, "Do they speak to you through the bones? That is an odd way of contacting those beyond. We of course pray to the Almighty, and if we are lucky enough, he deigns to answer our prayers sometimes. But is that not how it works with your god, with Woden?"
Woden's too busy up in his halls of gold. We rely much more on contacting our own. But I sense you did not come up here to learn of our customs. For what are you searching?
Well, and he hesitates for a minute, trying to gauge what. Yeah, he's trying to gauge. Go ahead, do this for me. Dre, can you make a luck roll for me?
Yep.
I don't think there will be any modifiers on it. So yeah, just go ahead and roll luck for me.
I rolled 12.
12. Okay. So he looks at you and he says, "Well, it is it is my duty as a member of the church to find any of the pagans who might be doing such as you are, and perhaps bring them to the faith. But it does not seem that this will be the most useful thing to do right now. What I might do instead is ask, have your spirits," and again he kind of does the sign of the cross. He seems very uncomfortable entertaining what he believes to be witchcraft or the work of the devil, right? But he's trying to carefully go about this. And so he says, "Have they indicated to you perhaps the outcome of this little adventure your band is on? Will it be successful, and will you talk to the coffins, or will you not?"
Yeah, so I've been looking up to the sky at this point, and I've been kind of trying to time a moment when I know the clouds are going to move in front of the sun for me to deliver a line.
Okay.
So I'm gonna wait for that moment to happen, and
then
I'm
sure,
gonna turn.
That can happen.
Look
Absolutely.
At him. Yeah. Turn and say, "Lord Ivar's deigned to take your city by any means. The bones see coffins in 2 days."
Oh, do you mean the palisade there, or do you mean Doblun? we've got no indication that he would go after the Maguire strongholds, right?
You've said too much already. You return to your others.
Okay. Very. My apologies. No offense meant. And so he'll kind of give you a little bit of a bow or whatever, and he'll scuttle back down the little hill, looking a little bit vexed. And are you going to just kind of let him go, or is there anything else that you want to do as he is departing?
No, I think Yakra's just going to kind of go back to whatever she was doing before.
Okay. Cool. All right. So then, Grom, you'll notice that at this point, the men are becoming more and more drunk, and Angus, even though Father Argyle is trying to kind of keep a lid on him, he's really trying to like rile up an attack. He wants you guys to attack the settlement, and so he's like, you guys, even in your current state, you could take this fort without issue. You attack now, they'll never expect it. And they're getting their blood up, right? They kind of want to. So
and honestly, I want to too. So I'm following what he's saying, and I'm liking the way he interacts with the men, and in this change. But I lean over and I stand up and survey what we're looking at, and I say, "Calm yourself, men. Calm yourself." And I'm half drunk at this time myself. I too want the bloodlust upon me again. I can feel their skulls crushing below my axe, and I reach around for it, and it's not near me right now. But I kind of give up and take another drink, and but I'm afraid approaching them head on is not wise, and Ivar wants us to wait, and I'll sling the L out of the remaining L from my lips, or whatever, and sling it down. I'm a little bit inebriated as it is, and frustrated visibly in front of all the guys.
Yeah.
I see, and I'm seething below my breath. I see we should take them all and sell them as thralls. Take them back and let them work the fields.
And to punctuate your words, it's kind of at this moment, the clouds have been kind of rolling in front of the sun all day, right? And so you have been kind of used to this lull of like darker and lighter. But at this point, like the sky seems to go much darker than you had previously expected, and you look up and you see this large like flock of birds is flying over, and they happen to be flying in the direction of the fort. Enough birds that the sun is barely poking through, and these are all ravens that you've noticed. These are all ravens, which are not necessarily native to this land, or at least not typically in this amount. And they kind of fly right over the fort, and then
a chill goes down my back, and I glance up very quickly to up the hill to the seeress,
Yeah.
Yakra, and see if
Yeah,
she's moving.
Yakra's kind of watching this at the same time and kind of like slack jawed and like in a moment of like realization just calls down, Warden calls you to Valhalla.
And I'll first I'm spitting what say you now, Yakra, and then when I hear that, it splits the evil grin across my face, right? And it goes from what that to a smile, because I mean, in my mind, I've changed from being just a stool to be pushed out of the way to sit and wait for days to parlay with these, impending thralls in my mind. I want to break this land up. Anybody worth their salt as far as strength shouldn't be cowering behind this wall. And I will pick up my axe on my shield and start banging it in unison. Like I said, I'm a little inebriated.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I look around and start yelling for them to do the same, right? So maybe he is cursed, but he's doing a little beat and yell and trying to back what I'm not Argyle, but Maguire.
Angus Maguire.
Yeah, Angus's wishes, basically.
I mean, and the camp, like, I mean, this isn't lost on anyone in your camp, what they just saw. So they're very much at this point like, oh, like this is a sign we have to attack. And so they're just, and so as you start beating your shield, right, with your axe or your sword or whatever, they are like getting pumped. Like, this seems like these guys are getting ready. And so they start standing up and they start like those that, they start putting their armor on. They'll start, they're starting to gather their weapons. And a couple of them are like, all right, Grom, is it time? Is it time that we finally show these Christian bastards the fear of Odin?
Suit up and draw a line. We approach them now. We pull them out of the cave.
Yeah, go ahead, if you will, and make make a luck roll for me, but you can add 2 to it because of the fortunate circumstances.
Okay, it's 7 total.
7 total. Okay, wow. All right. So, so everybody's kind of getting ready. They're rushing, but because most of the force is still kind of drunk, this won't be probably the most organized attack, but you guys are fearsome warriors, and the clans they've surprised you. They are good fighters, but they are certainly not like professional soldiers or not like many of the the Saxons that you face down in the south. So but yes, as you start to kind of get ready, are you guys forming up into almost into a shield wall?
I wanted to do the shield wall and start approaching them, and I'm with the intent of getting there and calling out.
Sure.
The leader is high time.
Yeah.
We get this rectified.
And so, would you guys? So you knew that the plan was that if they didn't capitulate and come out and speak with you, the Coughlins, that is, that you would have to break down their wall. So what was your plan? Was your plan to breach with a battering ram? Did you want to try to light them on fire? Like, what was the plan if you did have to breach? Or if you had to attack?
Well, I mean, it'd probably be lighting them aflame if it's nothing but wooden palisades. Yeah. I don't have anything to breach.
Well, you potentially could have, because there are people among your group that would have been like shipbuilders and stuff like that. So, and there are large timber pines. So if you guys wanted to fashion a battering ram of sorts, you probably could. But if your plan is like, no, you know what, let's just lob fire over there and burn them out. That's perfect.
Oh yeah. And I understand where you're coming from on that. But see, in my mind, I wasn't preparatorily building that are setting them
Sure.
about. And the
Yep.
encampment I see, I fully
Yeah.
expected them to come out, and I'm more,
Got it.
just from the threat of the Danes. They didn't come out
Yeah. And they haven't.
that
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
thing. They haven't. So that's really been, and the longer I wait, the more insulting it and harder to swallow
Sure.
that is for me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
but yeah,
So
I'm gonna call them out once we get the shield wall in front of them, and basically deride them, to come out.
right.
So I'm not necessarily thinking tactically at my best, but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, this is
Fantastic.
rash, but still.
And Yakra, where would you be as the army is forming up? Not a full shield wall necessarily, but certainly in a battle formation. It looks like violence is imminent. Where would you be, and what would you be doing among this scene?
Yeah, I think Yakra's really not made for battle, but is kind of going to pull out the bones and start like feverishly tossing bones, trying to get messages and trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay. Go ahead and make a spirit roll for me.
Yeah.
And actually, I think you can. Did you include your rune bones or whatever as equipment? Do they have a value that you assigned to them or no?
I didn't. I just kind of assumed they would be.
That's fine.
Like, fair.
Yeah, that's fine. So, we won't really add any bonus for that, but you can add +2 to your roll because those ravens certainly suggest that Odin may be listening or maybe
right.
near. So perhaps you'll.
Okay.
Yeah, and let me know what you get.
Yeah. So with that, and then with my +2 spirit, that's 17.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you can. I'll tell you the outcome, and then you can let me know kind of how it manifests, right? Like how you actually get the vision or whatever. But yeah, you basically get a vision that that your attack will be successful, and that this will be most likely favorable to Ivar's overall plan. But you do see, let me actually do this really quick. Okay. Yep. So, but you see a large sort of imposing. It almost forms like a Jotun standing behind to the south of the palisade, and you get the impression that it is hostile to you guys. You can tell that this is a metaphor, that you're not expecting an actual giant to come and attack, but there's something that is, there's something that isn't quite right here. So if you want to sort of describe how this vision comes about, where you will attain victory, but there will be some kind of scary complication that could come of that. And you are muted. I don't know if.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Yeah, I think the suggestion there is that there is a supporting army that's en route to like support the palisade, that's going to kind of come in maybe shortly after the battle. Mm-hmm. So the thing to do there is to kind of rush in and like after the fighting is done, tell the army that we gotta pull out and get out of there.
Yeah.
Because help is on the way.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, and when you get these visions, do they manifest like? What does it look like? Is it sort of like almost like a shadow opening up, or is there do you get like a vision of one of the gods, or how does Yakra kind of like perceive these visions?
I think hadn't thought about it, but I guess it would be something from the runes, like the runes on the bones, kind of creating like a visual between them.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like perhaps like it almost looks like they illuminate and kind of form, almost come off the bones a little bit and then form into, like that a picture or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Or like maybe like the lens flare effect off of like the lighting creates like an image pattern. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So we have Michael Bay directing your visions. That's awesome. Okay.
Ryan
Cool.
Johnson stuff.
Yeah. So do you want to share what you've seen in the bones right now, or are you going to kind of keep that close to your vest? How do you want to handle that?
I think right now keeping it close by, because I saw that the initial fighting is going to be successful.
Okay.
But I'll like try to pick a good moment to bring it up.
Sure. Okay. So we shift back to the army as Grom and his soldiers are hurling insults and calling the people behind the palisade cowards, and they are sort of feebly trying to say, some of them are responding back, but most aren't. And then you do see come up on the sort of palisade walkway, the person in charge in this little stronghold. You've known there's two of the Coughlin clan in there, Liam and Killian. Liam is the one that you understand is kind of in charge here. He's a little bit older. He's probably maybe in his late 30s. And Killian, you've seen maybe once. He looks like he might be in his teens or late teens. But Liam is definitely the leader here, and he comes up onto the palisade, and he yells down to you, we wish no quarrel with you, but we cannot open our gates. We've seen what your kind has done to ours, and we just cannot let you in.
The men are rowdy right now, and I shut them down immediately by yelling at them to shut up. The man speaks, I need to hear. So I'm gonna try to quieten them down. If he needs to repeat what he needs to say, I'll step out.
Sure.
And I wish to speak with you now, not 2 days hence. Where do you stand? With us or against us? We will take and raid and take you for as thralls, unless you speak with us. Speak with me, and we can. I will let you know what Ivar wishes for you.
And it's a little bit hard to see his face at this point, like the full facial expression, but he's not the biggest guy. He doesn't seem necessarily intimidated, but he hears what you're saying, and he says, do I see Father Argyle down there? Is he among your camp?
Father Argyle, and I'm looking around for him,
he's there.
It's a questioning type thing.
Yeah.
Who do you speak of? Yes, priest. And I'll wave him over.
Yeah, and he kind of hesitantly comes up and stands next to you, and Liam Coughlin shouts down, we do not wish hostilities. If you would like to send Father Argyle in as your envoy, we will speak with him. We trust him as a Christian man.
You don't wish hostilities. That is what you will receive, unless we rectify this quickly.
That is what we're trying to do. And you must
take
realize...
Take your priest, and I'll halfway drunkenly shove him forward as he stumbles forward. Go, speak to them, Argyle. Let them know that Ivar wishes to cut the deal.
Yes, of course. And so you'll see he starts walking towards the gate, and he looks back a couple of times, and you can see Angus. At this point, he's he's not as jovial as he was. He's feeling a little bit nervous because, of course, this is sort of the clan priest, and he didn't quite expect that the priest was going to have to go into the rival clan stronghold by himself. But but he will kind of come up to you and he'll say, you know, they'll speak to the priest, all right, Father Argyle. He'll talk him to death if he's got the option. I don't know if this will achieve what it is you want, at least a peaceful resolution. And then he kind of cocks his head and he looks and he says, or are you not hoping for a peaceful resolution anyway?
Well, if he talks him to death, maybe he'll save me an axe stroke, and I'll laugh. And we will give him his due time. I told him to let him know that Ivar has a message with him. But I will not tarry. I will not tarry much longer.
Okay.
And me and I tell him to hold the line as we stand there, because I'm expecting him to come out, not in 2 days.
Go ahead and make a prestige roll for me, if you will. You can add +1 to it because Father Argyle will be kind of talking on your behalf.
Okay. 13.
Okay. So
I got one in prestige, by the way.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. All right. So an hour goes by, 2 hours go by. It's starting to get into late afternoon. Repeatedly, I think you guys would yell to, hey, what's going on?
We're yelling.
Yeah.
We're yelling. I mean, as far as in the hour, it started getting by 2 hours. Yeah. We're,
And so, and you keep being told, it is okay. It's, negotiations are happening. But
on whose behalf?
Don't worry. Your priest is representing you and your camp. Do not worry. But you get the impression that you don't trust these guys. Yeah.
I'm like, he's not my priest, and I'm looking up the hill to Yakara. Mm-hmm. Yakara, come hither. And I'm waving her down. I mean, as far as I don't know the distance, but if she is within earshot or whatever.
Oh yeah, she would be there. I mean, everybody would sort of be, because the thing is, you don't necessarily want to leave too many people at the camp, just because you're far enough away that if they tried something sneaky and tried to sneak around behind you, there could be some casualties. So most of the women and any of the families or the non-combatants that would have been with you are fairly close to you.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, I've been emboldened because these tribesmen aren't living up to the, it's like I've lived long enough, obviously, and I'm not scared of anything. I'm ready to go. So half of me is clamoring for Valhalla,
right?
Truthfully, you know what I mean, to make my marks. It's irritating me, but so I'm not thinking as wisely or as tactfully as need be, and I'm lubricated by the ale, but and I'm halfway because we're still kind of drinking and carousing a little bit, and we've probably loosened up our hold on the shield wall, and intermingling as such, But I have been crying to send that Kaflin, Liam out here to speak with me.
Yeah, and so it gets to near 2 hours, and Angus comes up to you, and this is the first time that you've really seen him look worried. He's not as jovial as he was, and he would say,
"What's wrong with you, man?"
Would say,
"My lord, hide and cower behind their wall. What are you scared of?"
I fear that they are hoping that you will attack. I think they believe that the strength of their walls will keep them safe. But I've seen the way your type fights, and I I fear that if my father Argyle is inside the walls and you decide to assault, he may not make it out alive. But and then he hesitates for a minute, and he does the sign of the cross and says like a little prayer, as almost like, God forgive me for what I'm about to say. But he's like, but I think it is time you press the attack. If you go now, they're not expecting you to attack until and unless they send out the priest, and they're delaying. You need to push it now, and you will succeed.
Yakra kind of steps forward at this moment and, like in agreement, yes, sir. The bones have spoken to me. I believe they are waiting for their neighbors to send support. They're marching on their way now. If we don't take them, we'll miss our chance.
I thought your counsel was only for Ivar, witch. And
my counsel is in service of Ivar's armies.
And I'll wipe the foam off my lip and sling it off and drop the mug that I had carried with me through that, and heft the shield and turn around with a grin. Their walls can outbest our walls, and then I turn around and slam it like that as I'm kind of rallying the men to stand up, to get the wall and light the flame, and then I'll turn around to Argyle, and I hope your God is with your priest. And then I'll really like wolfish grin just set into my face, turn around and give the order to let loose some fire on the wall.
Okay. Yeah. So as that is starting to happen, right? Your archers are kind of covering so they've got their bows. They will have wrapped some like twine or whatever, and then they've put some resin on there, and they will they have like a little fire on the ground, or maybe like a couple of torches or whatever. And so one of the men will light a torch, and then the others, and the sort of the captain of the archers, so to speak, will be there to be like, draw. And it's like probably 10, 20 archers maybe. I think most of the guys probably have bows, but your force is probably 70, 80 men. It's not a lot, but it's enough. And you go, right, loose. And it's as if like, the great, world serpent was breathing fire down upon, these Irish Christians. Just this flame this wall of flame just falls down onto the fort. And it's very fortunate because it hasn't rained in days, which is weird because you guys have been here and it rains almost all the time here, but you've been very fortunate that your march here and the subsequent day has been dry. And so you start to hear the screams and the calls of terror and battle as the palisade is starting to light a little bit, and definitely some of the arrows went in. On the second volley, the palisade is definitely starting to catch, and you're waiting because that door is going to open at some point. And so when the palisade gate opens, is it your intention to attack, or are you going to just allow them to run and scatter? Oh, you're muted.
I'm gonna scoop them up in a V. I'm gonna pull a right and left flank and kind of be, in the center like a U, basically, so we can crush those that are escaping out the front.
Okay.
And that'll be the lineup, know. And I'm spewing insults as I go. Ivar's mistrust in these weaklings that do nothing but hide and try to attack. I'm going from what they say attack as in the rear, not like real men, not worthy of Valhalla, and I'll be saying all kind of stuff like that as kind of building up the men to do that. But we're waiting for the rest to come out of the out of the burning.
Okay, I gotcha. So Let's see. Okay. So you get this so eventually the palisade wall starts to catch, and it really does catch. Your men have been steadily kind of approaching in that pincer formation, that V formation, so that when those gates open, they'll be able to get them. And what happens is they actually hold out quite a lot longer than you expect, to the point that you guys are fairly close to the wall at this point, and you see up on the wall, you see this big soldier, and you see Liam there ducked, and the big guy, the big soldier, is holding the priest kind of by the back of his neck, and he says, "Cease your attack now, or we'll throw him over."
Throw him over. Yeah. I said like that. They're going to kill their own priest. Yeah. That's nothing but like setting themselves up for, in my mind. Yeah, I'm clamoring for that to happen.
Right.
That just brings bursting wild laughter for me.
And so maybe one of your men like fires an arrow right at the priest. Like it just.
Oh yeah.
And the priest falls.
They can pin cushion him.
Yeah. And just to show, and then the gates do open, and where if you were fighting an army, say in Wessex or Eastumberland, Mercia, that kind of thing, they might charge out with cavalry. That's not the case here. These guys are they come out, and it's one or two of them have swords, but most of them are carrying spears, clubs. Like they're not really very well armored, and your men make short work of them.
Well, I do want to say about midway that when I struck them to like get as many captives as possible, because I want to turn some coin.
Sure.
With this, because if they're not fighting men, they can at least work the farm.
Yep. So Angus comes up to you, and he suggests that you keep Liam and Killian as hostages to possibly ransom back. He says, you could keep them as slaves, but Clan Coughlin, they're lazy. They won't make good slaves, and they're all jumped up with their notions of freedom. They won't work for you. You'll just end up slaughtering them.
Well, don't tell me my business. And then I'll take them. Yeah, I want to take them to Ivar. Ivar will just discern what to do with the bastards.
Yes.
And I'll leave it there, because he can do whatever, but it also get me back in Ivar's good graces, because I'm bringing him back something that the other ones.
Sure.
The other people in my position aren't going to give me.
Right. So, oh gosh, these are fun. Okay, I like the random seeds. So at this point, you are the palisade has been emptied at this point, right? The force that was in there, I mean, there was probably only about 30 men in there that could have been considered fighting forces. And I think it's at this point, the rain finally starts to come, and it does start to douse the fires. And Yakra, you start feeling like whatever feel you might get when you know that the spirits or the gods or whatever are trying to speak to you, you're getting that feeling now. And so I don't know if you want to roll them bones or how you want to deal with that.
Like in the midst of everything that's going on, I'm gonna kind of slip away and kind of find a place off to the side to do that.
Sure. Okay, and so you go ahead and do that. I'm not going to make you roll, because what happens here is as you roll the bones and the runes sort of in your mind anyway start to coalesce, you start to see, it's almost like a shadow right? Or like smoke, right? And it's obscuring everything, and then you can start to see little like points of light, and they sort of look like two sets of eyes, right, coming out of this smoke. And so as it gets closer and it gets closer, you see the one set of eyes. It looks like it's an animal walking along the ground, and then again as it gets closer, it looks like what you have heard described as like a lion, right? It's some kind of large cat, and the other one is flying, and it's a bird, not a raven, but probably like a blackbird or something that would be more common to these lands. And as that is happening, the smoke starts to, almost as if like the sun was trying to break through. You see these hues of like yellow and red breaking through the smoke, almost in like a striped pattern. And it's getting these animals in this vision that are far away are getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And then it looks like this blackbird, as it's getting ever closer, you see a lone raven kind of sitting in your vision, just a little bit, in front of you. And it looks like these two animals are coming to attack this raven. There's definitely a sense of urgency and danger behind this. And then that's kind of where the vision ends. There's no clear indication of the outcome, but you definitely got a sense of foreboding and of danger.
Right. Okay, so coming out of that, clearly a bit rattled, and looking around, kind of fervently looking for somebody to tell about this. I'm guessing I'm gonna see Grom somewhere. Rush up and
just real quick, sorry to interrupt, Grom, would you have, now that the rain has kind of helped put out the fire a little bit, would you guys have entered the palisade to maybe loot, to pillage, to look and see what's in there?
Okay. Yeah, of course. Sure. Yeah, we need to, and maybe even move the encampment to there.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So don't go too far with that, because I do want to get back to Yakra for a minute. Fine. But if you can, go ahead and roll a luck roll for me, Del. Sorry. Go ahead, Yakra. You can continue.
2.
Yeah, no, I was just saying I'll kind of rush into where I see Grom going about this thing, and sir, the bones, they've spoken to me again. They foretell of whatever it is. It's not good. We must get out of here.
Nothing is ever good with you, Yakra. You run around causing mischief. What do you see? What do you see? I'm picking up things and looking through them. Kind of half distracted to you, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. There were beasts in the shadows. They approached a lone raven in the night at sunrise. I believe we are the ravens, sir. We've been led into some den to be ambushed, to be set upon
by the likes of the men that we just slaughtered.
In the very city that we have just taken, they will trap us.
You say that we have come to our doom, perchance to get the opportunity to go to Valhalla, and then I'll split a grin and half laugh half-heartedly, and then look at you for a second. But you do speak for Ivar, and on his behalf, so I should listen. And I'll change my countenance a little bit to be more serious, less less of the hive of just, conquering. And then I'll look around and beast, you say, attacking the ravens. Well, you did at least advise me wisely to attack along with the omen, the murder of crows. So I shall take your word and advisement, Yakra. We should leave back. There is, after all, no more need to stay here. And the priest is dead. Perhaps the boy that'll come to my Angus. Perhaps we can go to his peoples. Maybe there will be more of a stronger lot than these. And I'll look around at the bodies laying there. You reach down and pick up anything of value. And I'm not finding much, just trinkets of this and that and whatever. Poor people.
Right.
And I'll scatter whatever I just picked up across the yard. A little bit disgusted look.
Yeah, about the most valuable thing you would find would be that the priest would have had his cross would have been made out of silver, or at least it has some silver on it. You don't know if it's pure silver or not, but
I'm sure if I didn't grab that, somebody else might have nixed that. But anyway, it's like I go, then leave we shall.
Yep.
And then I'll turn around and kind of give a query and look around for Angus and start walking to find him.
As soon as you look around for Angus, off in the distance you hear, and you can almost feel it before you hear it. It's the like thunder of hoof prints. So there's definitely a force on horseback, rather large based on the fact that you can feel it and hear it. I mean, it's subtle, but you've been on enough battlefields that so there is definitely some mounted force coming your way.
Okay, I'll stop and then turn around and look at the winch, and perhaps your prophecy is too late in the telling. We shall stand here. Odin has at least put out the fires, so the walls stand. And then I'll call to the men to make haste to get inside of the palisade walls, right?
Okay.
And start putting up the blockade there because we want to make a stand.
As you're yelling that, the young McGuire Angus, he's like, "What are you doing? You've just seen that these walls cannot repel an invasion. Now you wish to hide behind them. No, you must go out and meet the foe as they come. Meet them on the battlefield.
Meet them. I need to take account of them before we meet them.
They'll be here before you know it. Oh, fine. God forgive us." And he runs into the fort. Now, there's not much in terms of like a barricade. This fort, as you kind of got inside, they literally had like one large piece of timber that would go across the wall. Oftentimes in sieges like this, at least in the more organized English settlements in the south, sometimes they would have large poles, two of them, like big tree trunks that they would have cut down and like to use almost as like a barricade, along with their big pole. So that door was going to be hard to knock down. This one, like, I don't think they were expecting an attack, and so they didn't fortify, they didn't barricade. So that's kind of what you're left with, in addition to the sort of weakened structure as a whole because of the fire. Right, and you realize that many of a couple of the small structures in here, the thatched roof, some of it was on fire, some of it wasn't. But the courtyard in here is now starting to turn to mud because of the rain.
Yeah. Is it still raining?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
that's fine
hard,
with me.
but it's definitely still raining.
That's fine. That's fine. And that's one of the things I took into consideration, thinking about why I'm staying here. I got something up my sleeve.
Okay.
So yeah. But anyway, I kind of laugh at him as he runs off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Naive. But anyway, yeah, that's what I do. I'll harry them to make to get inside the fortification quick, and then I want to line them up. What we're going to do is, looking around myself, I want to make a choke point to where that they have to file into the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we can crush them as they come in.
Why don't we do this? Because you haven't actually seen this force yet, why don't you go ahead and let's see, make a luck roll for me, if you will.
Yeah, I know they're on horseback.
You'll be able to, yes, you do know they are on horseback. We don't know the size of the force.
I don't want to be run down
in
the middle of like that. So I'm trying to get them.
So, and you can close the door to the palisade wall. You can close it. You can barricade it. But from your perspective, if you were to say, okay, if somebody were to try to siege this and break the door down with a battering ram, it would not be hard to do. Now, they may not have that equipment, but you don't know yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, but I'll put some archers on the wall 100%. to thin out the ranks a little bit, and then whenever we do, we'll invite them in with open arms. If we let them break down the wall, we can still pick out a couple while they're breaking out down the wall, whether they got a siege equipment or not. And then whenever they enter, I want them to file in and be taken out that way. Yeah, with crushing walls on either side of them. So that's generally what I'm doing. About how many men did you say I had? 60, 70 or so?
So archers you probably have around 20, like actually trained archers. Any of your men could pick up a bow and fire it, but I would say you have about 20 archers and at this point around 40 maybe.
That's fine. We may have lost a couple here or there, but that's how I'm laying them up. If I have enough time to do that before they get here. Yeah. So you said you wanted to roll a luck roll?
So go ahead and roll a luck roll, and you can make your way up to the palisade walkway to be able to see what this force is.
I want to take stock, like I said, to see the enemy I'm dealing with.
Sure.
Where they coming from? It's 15.
Oh, okay. You got a 15. Nice. So you make your way up to the top of the palisade wall, and you're looking south, because that's where the sound is coming from, and you can definitely see a mass moving, but it's a little bit difficult to make out the very specific fine details, but because of the rain and it's gotten a little foggy, but you can tell that this is a mounted force. It does not seem as big as it might have been originally. You are thinking probably maybe 20 to 30 mounted men, but what you do notice is that these do not look like the clan men of Ayerland. These are like cavalry soldiers. These are mounted, armored men with
I've been around enough to
kind of
recognize it, and it does take me aback a little bit because it's not what I was expecting. Yeah. So you'll see me on the parapet and grimace a little bit, and almost have a feeling of self-doubt. But then again, I'll thankfully turn my eyes up and be thankful that if I'm given this opportunity to go to Valhalla in such grand fashion, you know what I mean? Sure. I finally got an opportunity that if I was going to go, as cursed as I am, that it was for this moment to give me something worthy to go from. So it really emboldens me where you see a half a second, I'm like doubtful, and then I'm welcoming to it. You know what I mean? So
sure.
That's where I'll go.
Okay. And so I want to shift gears over to Yakra for a moment. Yakra, do you? So I assume you would be inside the palisade like the rest, right? Does Yakra have any power? Can she call on any kind of spirit magic, rune magic, anything like that, or is her power more in the visions that she receives?
I think it's more in vision, fortune telling, but also like I said earlier, like mixing poultices and that sort of thing. So no, like calling down curses or anything like that.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
go ahead.
A part of the vision, I think Yakra kind of like realizes that she had misinterpreted like the sunrise in the vision as being, oh, they would approach at sunrise, where they're already here. So what if the sunrise is the salvation? What if we need to wait until sunrise or survive until sunrise?
Well, and so let me ask you this: would Yakra also go up on the wall to try to see more, or is she going to stay in the sort of in the grounds?
Yeah, so I think kind of coming to that like idea would look for where Grum is going to kind of report that to him. So maybe rushing up onto the wall to.
So great, yeah.
That.
So you'll go up onto the wall, and as you are doing so, you have to make your way a bit carefully because the rain. You don't want to slip on the stairs or the ladders or whatever. But as you get up, you see this force is getting a little bit closer, and you actually can see two standards that are being flown by this force. One is a banner on a green field with like a golden dragon on it, and this is that this is the house coat of arms of supposedly the queen, right? So these would be maybe like the queen's guard or whatever. And the other coat of arms is it's almost like a shield with yellow and red stripes going down it, and then on either end, kind of facing in towards the shield, are a lion on one side and like the rook or the blackbird or whatever on the other side. This is actually a coat of arms representing the kingdom of Northwich to the south.
Yeah, and seeing that, like as I reach the top of the wall with Grum, that the base from my vision there, the army bears their crest.
Okay, I turn around with you, and you can tell I'm high on a little bit of a bloodlust. You've probably seen it before. I will I will on the side say that it wouldn't be too far afield, because paganist religions used like if you give something, then you expect to receive something from your god. You know what I mean? Give tribute in some way, and just wanting to put a thing toward the dead that we had piled at Odin's feet. You know what I mean, or something like that. So you could potentially. First, in some way, in some fashion, you know what I mean. And plus the fear of somebody who is a seer, but she's also working that way. So maybe a little bit thread more than just divination, But that's up to you, Jordan. You know how you play it or whatever. But anyway, when you look at me, you can tell. I look at you, and I've still got this wide grin, and I let them come.
Yeah,
let your beats come.
And they've started to slow because the road has gotten muddy, and the visibility is a little bit tough. So that you guys have an advantage here in that you're on a wall and you have those archers. Now, you don't know how good the mail coats are and whatever of the soldiers. They may be able to repel the arrows that you guys have, maybe not, but certainly you have an advantage here should you wish to press it. Yeah.
Yeah. When I turned from him, from the seer, Yakra, you'll see me turn, and then my arm goes out in that direction as they're approaching, and I'll turn my head toward the archers on line, on the line of the wall, and loose, and even aim for the horses,
Yeah.
to take out that, basically center mass is what I'm telling them to do. So I want to shred them before they can get to the wall, so to speak, disperse them a little bit. Assuredly, and then I'll turn around to Yakra and say, when we will break them, and then when they enter through the mouth of hell, they will find themselves. And then I'll gesture toward the main gate that we came into, and then also Yakra to where you see this little shield wall hewed up to let them go. The doors are shut right now, but when it breaks, we'll have them in a vice. Is what I'm showing you, and if that hits your understanding or not, I don't know, but I turn immediately to.
Yeah, I think just kind of like seeing the gestures and like toward the setup that the group is doing, kind of look and nod at that, and then look back, and so my vision portrayed daybreak as our salvation.
Yes.
If we can last till dawn, victory will be ours.
Yes, they will break. They will break by day. And then I'll turn around because I have no arrow with me. Come with me, seer. And I'll walk and start going down. We must join the ranks. And then I'll gesture as I'm starting to go down to the lower area, to the ground, and gesture toward all the bodies that are laid there. And I'll look at the seer and look at the bodies. We shall pile them at Odin's feet, and then I'll yell at two of the other guys that are there, and take them up to the wall, throw them in front of the door.
Wait, you mean
actually,
Liam and Killian, the Coughlin heirs? Is that who you mean, or do you mean the dead bodies?
No,
oh shit! Are you gonna throw them over?
Yeah, I'm gonna get them to pile them up in front of the door. It's a scare tactic too. Like, I'm looking to see her we'll lay them at Odin's feet or whatever. And, whatever she may incorporate into that.
Well, I'll tell you this, because it's raining. You saw like some of the horsemen started to try to pull. They were trying to pull out torches. They were trying to like get these, and it's not. Some of them get them lit, some don't. It's not very effective. And so what happens is they looked like they were going to really kind of like come in close and maybe try to throw the torches. But they break off before they get in close, and they start just circling the fort for a minute. They're pretty slow because of the mud. Their horses are having a hard time. But right now they're just kind of circling around it. And as some of the archers, they, on the wall, they start, whatever, maybe one of them hits a horse, the horse goes down, one of the soldiers jumps up. The soldiers, the armed men outside, you can tell that there's a bit of confusion because the weather and the conditions have changed their plan. And so you can hear from, you can see this one man in that sort of red and yellow livery over his, not livery, but, the colors right, of Northwich. I mean, he's got a helmet on. He's got, he's got a big like hammer in his hand. He's got a shield. This guy clearly is like the leader of this force. And he comes up and he kind of approaches slowly, and maybe a couple of arrows shoot at him, and he holds his shield up and they right into the shield. But it's clear he's not going to attack. But what he approaches and he says, he speaks, and he speaks in the English tongue. Would either of you understand that or no? Do you think?
No, that's why I sent the priest in, because he could speak both. And, I was like, he knew what was up. That's why I was wanting him to speak for me. So,
so he starts speaking in the language that is kind of the English language, and you can see Angus McGuire was nearby, and he says, "Oh Lord, this is worse than I thought. Oh no." And he's like, so he can clearly tell what the guy is saying. Yeah. But he's kind of down in the courtyard. Now, did you go down to the courtyard, or were you still up on the palisade?
No, I went down originally when and then I gestured toward them too, and maybe a couple more men, depending on how many bodies are in there, because I want to throw them over the edge. And that when he gets out there, they're going to have to body and throw it down in front of the door on top, because they'll see a pile to whatever point it got to where the bodies are falling.
Well,
all right.
I think I imagine, like, if the goal was as the force was approaching, you guys were basically putting bodies out in front of the door. You wouldn't even have to throw them. You could some, but you could literally, most of them died in the courtyard. You could just push them out the door, or drag them out and put them in front if you wanted to. But so yes, if you wish to have like a pile of bodies in front of the main door, you certainly can, as this armed figure approaches. If you want to have some go flying off the walls as they're coming in, that's okay too. But
well, at that point, what I've did is taken a rope. I'll have some rope, and I wanted to take the one guy. What's his name? After he's drug up the bodies,
the Coughlin, one of the Coughlins, Liam, or the young one, Killian. Is that who you mean?
Liam. Now Killian. That's what I'll do. Tie a rope around his neck and push him over the edge, so he'll in his neck will snap, and he just hangs there, right? Mm-hmm. And that was after they drug up the bodies to throw him over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh God. Okay. So you're hanging the body over the Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm looking at that. I got two, like I said, two of the other guys are with me from down there below. So we will be getting Liam to go next.
Right. So, okay. So Angus is saying,
put down their arms. I'm looking around for the priest to pass his words on to.
Father Argyle died, I think, didn't he? Because you guys, he died. He didn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah. That was what Angus was afraid of, was that they were probably going to try to hold him hostage, because so I'll just let you know. The idea is that Angus seems to understand what this guy outside is saying too.
But he can understand me, so I'm telling him to tell Liam to tell them to put down their arms and surrender. And I just threw his little brother over the side, you know.
Yeah, well, Liam, and Liam is distraught, and he's praying, and he's angry. He's not distraught like, he's distraught like, he's used to fighting and used to death and used to stuff, and so he's getting mad. But Angus says, "Oh, my lord, I don't think you're gonna be able to talk this one down." Kind of motioning to the guy outside. That's he said it was a strange term. He said his name was Justice Bringer or Justicar, something like that. But he plans by break of day to siege this fort and kill everyone in here. There's no backing that man down. I've heard of him.
I've heard too much as it is already. And then I'll cinch the rope, unless he wants his man here thrown over the edge, and then I'll look for, like, he just told me he won't do it anyway.
So Angus, he's like, I could tell him if you want, my lord, your plan, but I don't know that he'll cease even for the death of a Coughlin, but you never know. If you wish that I speak to him, I can.
Okay, well, I've got the rope around his neck, and I will kick him off the side. Okay, so I'm kicking Liam off the side to hang beside his brother. Okay, so they're hanging down above the door.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing this for effect too.
Yeah.
For for morale,
Right.
Um,
So Angus makes his way up to the top of the palisade, and you can tell like he's afraid of this guy, and he starts kind of yelling down to the guy in the English tongue, and the guy responds back to him, and you can tell that like there's this anger and hatred in this man's voice at what he's witnessing and what he's just perceived, and you can see there's a bit of an exchange, right? And then Angus turns back around, and his face is a bit paler than than I mean, and the Ayerish typically have fairly pale complexion anyway, but like he's definitely taken aback, and so he comes over to you, and he says, "Oh, my lord, this is not good." He says the Coughlin clan is under the protection of Narthich, and that by killing these men, you've committed a serious crime, one that has to be answered. He says you can give yourself up, and he'll spare your men, or you can take your chances and try to fight him. But he said that he's got God on his side, and that the holy justice of God will smash down your fort and send you all to hell.
God on his side. We've already killed his priest. And then I'll look at him not fully functionally understanding, what he means by that. And then I'll turn back to the line on the wall. And if they're standing out there for whatever reason, I'm going to tell them to loose again.
They're well, the rest of they've gotten out of range, but they're still circling. They're further out. But this Justicar or Justice Springer or whatever he's there. And if there's any arrows that come at him, it's almost like, I don't know what it is, but like they do not hit him. He'll either hold up his shield or maybe the rain and the wind, but the arrows are not going to hit him. This is what's happening. Like it's crazy. But
okay, well, yeah. I'll tell him. I'm telling Angus to, I will make some blasphemous things about his God not being able to hold, to overtake my God. If it is so, sure. Come inside and let's see you break down the walls. Move right. And we'll throw another body over.
Yeah.
We can add you to the pile.
Sure.
You'll be added to the pile. So yep. I'm trying to effectively kind of urge him to come in instead of waiting us out. You know what I mean? I don't need
right.
to see.
So I'm trying to... if you want, you can either make like a prestige roll or you can make a luck roll. Kind of based on how you do it. If you're trying to use kind of your stature and the
16 with that.
16. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know if he'll.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did say that we killed your God. We killed your priest.
Sure.
What does your God have to say about that? In kind of.
And as you're saying it to Angus for him to translate back to the to the guy, he's like, "Are you sure, my lord, you want me to say that? This man doesn't look like he's one to be trifled with."
I look at Angus, and I'm sick of his. I'm sick of his attitude toward this and questioning everything, and and I've been using him as a mouthpiece, and if they pay us, I'll calm down for a little bit, and I'll say, if he's here to fight, fight. If not, he needs to leave this land or pay us some Dane gold. and we will let them live.
Sure.
What are their lives worth? And then I'm looking at him intently because I want him to answer. Stop all this Molly.
So Angus looks at you and he says, "All right, I'll tell him." And so he yells your words down, and you can even through the armor and through the helmet and everything in the rain, like you could see the man physically bristle at those words. Maybe it's like he stiffens in his saddle or whatever. But he kind of holds up his shield, and much like you did, he starts kind of banging his hammer against the shield, and then he responds back, and Angus, has this look on his face like it was the inevitable answer that he expected, and he says, he says, "Well, he said he'll certainly be willing to pay you. But not in coin and not in silver. He says the only payment you'll be receiving is your own blood spilling from your skull as he cracks it in with that hammer. I have one. He did suggest, though, if you wish, he'd be willing to challenge you in single combat. But personally, my lord, I would rather rely on these here walls than cutting through that armor."
I look over for Yakura, and I cut a glance at her, and what do you say, Yakura?
Yeah.
What would Odin
I was just
want?
gonna say Yakura.
Appeased?
I was just gonna say Yakura kind of perks up at the mention of single combat, and kind of like hurriedly pulls out the bones and tosses them again, and kind of skips over like actually paying attention to him, but just kind of looks for a second and then looks back over at Grom, and then just a solemn nod.
A solemn nod.
As in, to answer his question, yes, he would be appeased by single combat. Is that what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Do it.
Come inside. Shoot, I want them all to come inside. Yeah, come inside.
Yeah. There's no way. He's like, and actually you see, he's like dancing his horse backwards, and then like he turns, and like you can see he's literally making a square in the mud with his horse's hooves, like right outside the palisade. So it's clear he knows something of the sort of the Danish custom, right? Draw the square, have the battle.
Yeah.
He's clearly had dealings with Danes in the past.
Okay. I'm really I Yakra suspiciously and look up, because I look down at this guy. He doesn't really mean nothing to me. He seems to be from that, but he should give give me due. I think
wait, I have an idea how we can resolve this. So have Grom make a body roll. Let's say it was a combat roll, right? If you were in combat, make that roll for me. And then Yakra, go ahead and make a spirit roll for me, if you will.
Actually, what I want to do, go ahead. What I want to do is, oh geez.
I think Yakra is going to come up to Grom and sire, Valhalla calls you home. If this be the way, then the rest of us may be set loose.
I'll turn and look at Angus,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if he's saying what I want him to say to
Right.
me and what has been said. So basically, on the top of the parapet, I will tell him to this is what we do for our God Odin, and I'll perform a blood eagle on him, like with the 2 men that I have.
Wait, to
On
who?
Angus.
Oh shit, on
Angus.
Angus. Oh my God. Okay.
Okay, and then I
Oh,
wanted
no.
to. I wanted for effect the blood to fly out and splatter down on the 2 hanging bodies below, right there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
And
screaming and it's obviously horrifying. Yeah.
yeah, it's beyond
Yeah,
horrifying. So
yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm having that performed and yelling down curses to him and whatnot in my own language. But
Okay.
you know,
Wow. Okay. So I think I know how I'll handle this. Yeah, so go ahead and make that spirit roll for me, Yakra, and let me know what you get.
Yep. 17 total.
Okay. So as if the gods are speaking to you, they it's almost as if like you hear this like crow of a bird behind you or something, and you can see the sun is starting to set a little bit now, so it's got that sort of like dark orange as it's going kind of down, and it's going to be night soon, but you can see almost like coming out of that sun is, again, it looks like a raven, and it comes over and it lands on like right near Grom, right where the where Angus is with his screaming with the blood eagle, right? And he lands there, and he kind of bobs his head a little bit, and then he starts like pecking at the eyeball of this Irishman, and he pulls it out, right? And then like in this just gruesome fashion, he takes off, but it seems as though in the wind or the rain or whatever, he drops it as he's flying away, and the eyeball seems to drop like right at the foot of the Justicar, and it's staring up at him. At this point, Angus is like almost dead. Like he's not the hardy Viking that might be able to survive a blood eagle for a little while. He's bleeding out. He's almost dead. But yeah. And then, but then you notice this bird as it's flying away, it kind of splits. And to your vision, it looks like it went from one bird to two, a black one and a white one. And it circles around, and they're circling above the camp. And so this, I don't know how Yakra would interpret this sign, but that is, it seems to be a good omen for you.
Yeah, that's just kind of watching that like slack-jawed and then turning back toward Grom again, and Sire Woden does indeed call you home.
Then I'll split my grin again as I remove that and tear open the back of the cage, and then I'll look down and I'll say, "Open the doors," and turn around and pitch him off the interior of it, and have him land in the V.
Yeah.
Right there. and
Right.
come to Valhalla is what I'll look at that, because I'm gonna wade through and I'm gonna have some single combat with him if he can get to me. So that's when I'll try to start marching down.
Is the intention that you want to meet him in single combat? Do you want him to come into the fort? What are you hoping that he'll do?
I'm hoping that I can have the best of both worlds, that his whole freaking army will rush in, we can crush them. I will find him amidst that. If it's if Odin will lead the way for me to do that, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm gonna have to win the battle and the combat.
Sure. So I think what happens at that point is your men open the door. And as this blood eagle was happening and whatever, like the horses had stopped circling, and the men had dismounted because they realized like there's going to be no advantage for them being on horseback at this point. In fact, it might be a disadvantage. And so they come nearby on foot. They've got their shields up, right? They've got a proper shield wall set. And these are fighting men. They're armed in mail. They have swords. They have shields. Like they look properly trained. Their shield wall is tight. And the Justicar, upon seeing the Ayerish guy launched over with the blood eagle and the eye and whatever, he's in a rage at this point. And so but he's still mounted. And so when the doors open, he charges in with his stallion, and he's ready to fight, but he's staying on his horse. He's going to run in, and his men will come in behind him. But yeah, you guys have a few moments. So I will say this, the first round of the battle definitely goes your way. You guys seem to, you manage, well, the Justicar, I will say after the first round of combat, the Justicar is not dead, but he is disadvantaged heavily. So if you want to describe how that condition comes to be, and then Yakra, at this point, I'm going to give you leniency that if you want to say continue to be given visions from Odin or whoever throughout this battle, you can just narrate those. You can take narrative license on that if you wish.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll chime in if I think.
Yeah. I mean, not to put you on the spot, but just if you.
But I feel like Yakra's kind of going into like prayer mode right now.
Yeah.
Which kind of appealing to Odin.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Okay, so Grom, go ahead and describe how you guys are able to disadvantage the Justicar in whatever way that means, but he's still alive.
If he come running in and his horse had to jump, which I don't know necessarily.
Yeah, the pile of bodies or whatever.
Into the middle of it, and it's the mud is going to be in there. He's gonna come right, probably surprisingly, into an area where on either side of him and in front of him is a shield wall that's going to be encroaching.
Okay.
So he's going to be disadvantaged in the fact that he's surrounded, and he can't rear that horse around too far and try to get out because his men are coming in. So he's got himself in a corner.
Okay.
Just like we wanted. So that's how I'll say he's disadvantage that he's flanked.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. But he seems to be holding his ground. He's not looking like he's going to surrender. And he's got he's yelling. He's almost growling as if he's like this angry dog. You clearly got to him. So go ahead and make
They need to take his horse.
What's that?
They need to take his horse out to get him down to his feet. Okay?
So go ahead and make another combat roll for me. You can add 2 to this roll because of his disadvantage, and because of the fact that like you've set him off. He's not quite thinking as clearly as he might.
Okay, that's not good. It's 5 total.
Okay. So now are you getting down in there to
Oh yeah, immediately
Yeah.
after
Okay.
I dropped the body, I started
Sure.
to descend. I'm
Okay.
not going to be there fully yet, but I'll
Right.
be there.
So you see your men, combination of spears, axes, swords, whatever, they're trying to bring down this Justicar. And they, whether it is trying to, slash at the horse's hooves or at his flanks or whatever. But this is a war horse of the top caliber. And this guy, he's really good. So he's managing to parry some of the blows, block some. He's stepping his horse this way and that. And his horse does take a little bit of, maybe like a spear, a slight graze or whatever. It kicks one of your soldiers as it rears, but he manages to stay mounted for now. And your guys were just about to overcome him when his men were able to crash in. And so now it's kind of that scrum where you've got kind of your forces split evenly on either side. They run into the middle, and then they kind of, and they're a smaller force, but for the moment anyway, they're holding off your men. It seems easier than that.
And I want on the outside for the archers to be raining down as they're trying to file through them.
Oh, okay, right. So they can do that, yeah, but they would have to stop as the men get in, because then obviously it would hit your own men. So yeah, so they were doing that. There were a few casualties, but for the most part, between the shields and the heavy armor that these guys are wearing, and with the rain making it harder to fire the bows and everything, the archers were not as effective. But they are definitely, you've gotten them where they want to be. So, Yakra, I want you to make one more spirit roll for me.
Yep.
And again, you can add a +2, because Odin seems to have been on your side today, wants to communicate.
Nat 20.
Oh, well, okay. I know. Yeah. All right. So either way, you got a critical success.
Yeah, either way.
Okay. So you get this vision where it looks like, the gates to, or the doors to the hall, the feasting hall in Valhalla were open, right? And you could kind of see the warriors there, feasting, carrying on, having a good time. And you see this lone figure in a robe, an eye patch over one eye, and he kind of comes through the crowd. And it's almost as if he's looking at you deliberately, and he kind of puts his hand on either side of these great big doors to the feasting hall, and he slowly pushes them shut. But he's looking at you the entire time as to impart to you that this is important, that the physical act of what he's doing has more, it's not just a metaphorical meaning. And
right, yeah.
But it also is. So it's kind of giving you the impression that you and your men will not be going to Valhalla today, but it's more than that. So you feel victory.
Right. It's also close the gates.
Yes.
Like close them in type thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and kind of like realizing that, I will shout down from the wall, close the gates.
Yep. And as you do that, some of the men closest to the gates, they hear that, and they realize the advantage that they have now, and so they do. A couple of the forces break off, and they start to close the gate, and it's in this moment that you start to see the Northwich men maybe panic a little bit, because now they're locked in here, or they're going to be closed in here, and so. Del, go ahead and make another body roll for combat. What we're going to do is we're going to represent this, and you can add +4 to this roll, because you have a huge advantage.
That's 16 then.
Thanks. Or I guess I would lower the difficulty. But regardless, in that case, you are able to overcome the Justicar's forces. So you can decide whether you wish to leave the Justicar alive or whether you wish to end his life. but you and your band will be victorious with much less loss of life than you would have expected. But you will overcome the foe. So you tell me whether it's a slaughter, whether it's a surrender, how this looks, but you guys win the day.
I will, yeah, if they're shut, I would have stalked down as they were crowding in around him, and obviously he had nowhere to go. And the men that did made it in behind him, they were all laid out.
Mm-hmm.
We drug him off the horse, and I will. Yeah, at first I want to. Oh man, the single. Yeah, the single combat. I want to strip him down,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll give him as maybe they're outside clamoring, but we'll strip him down of his armor,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll give him a weapon just like his choice of a weapon, and I'll say, let's fight. So I'm gonna draw the square on the inside of there.
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right, because this is gonna appease Odin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll do it there. Otherwise, I would have kept him for Ivar anywhere else, but that's already been stated through.
Well, he wanted single combat, but then you made him rush in. So it's up to you. If you want to initiate single combat, he will do it. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, he's going to have to, because we surrounded him. But the single combat I was going to, I saw the way that it was through Yakar, that it was a path made for me, the single combat. That's what I said. Still, let them all in. I'll fight my way to him, and then we can have it out.
He wanted you to come out and face him one-on-one, but you pissed him off so bad and with all the nonsense that he just lost it, and he just came in, and then his men came in, obviously. And so, you managed to like goad him into abandoning his position of strength.
But this is important for me, so I won't be cursed. You know what I mean? As far as like, I don't necessarily have to die, but I'm gonna gain some notoriety with my meeting.
Yeah, for sure.
But,
I mean, and you can say that you best him in single combat, but also die, or you can live on. And and I feel like you wouldn't be known as Grom the Old or Grom the Cursed anymore. You'd be like, Grom the Victorious or Grom the battle.
I very well made that. I mean, that's what I'm gonna do, is draw that circle in there and have it out with him both mano a mano, that kind of thing. So because I can't turn away now.
Sure.
But that's what I'm gonna do. Lay it out after we pull him off with stripping down, and then I'll give him a sword and a Viking axe and shield, just the same way I have, and we'll go at it.
Yeah. If you want to roll this out, you can, but you certainly don't have to. I feel like at this point. Okay. Yeah, then that's fine. So
I want to see what happens with him, because I could bite it.
Before we do that, because I want to make sure that we don't go over time. It is about 4:20 right now. So what if we do this? What if we do a single roll? And what we can do is this will determine, you'll win the combat, but why don't we do it this way? If you're okay with this, if you roll really well, you have your choice whether you wish for Grom to die or not in glorious combat. Regardless, you'll get to decide the outcome of the Justicar. And if you roll poorly, I get to decide if is that okay?
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine to do that. Whenever I'll turn around to Yakazar as we're stripped down at about the battle, and it'll be like a Odin's, because she's the one who said that it was that. So I'll get a marking from her of the blood, on me, and mark him down too. We're stripped, then we'll go at it right then and there. So I'll go ahead and roll, and we'll see.
Go ahead.
Okay,
and just tell me your straight roll.
Okay, 9 total.
Okay. So
I think you need to.
Yeah, so he's basically
Yeah.
like kind of stripped down to like his breeches, his boots, maybe his tunic.
Yeah.
Maybe you gave him a Viking shield and the axe. And
Next.
even though he's clearly beaten, he has a fervor on him where he fights like a madman. And you are, clashing blows. You're, shoving him, with your shield. You even bash him in the face at one point, with, the shield, and, he's battered, he's bruised, he's broken, but he just keeps coming and coming and coming. And he's like battering down your reserves. This is a man possessed. And I think what'll happen is, he gets so here's what happens, right? He comes in and he goes to slash at you, right? You come and you manage to block it with your shield, and for a moment there, it's like this contest of strength, right? And you manage to kind of push him. You win that contest, but what ends up happening is he kind of slides back in the mud, and then he slips a little bit, and your momentum kind of carries you down. And what he does is at that moment, he spins around and he swings down at your leg, and you manage to pull your leg out of the way of the axe blade, but the pommel hits and and it breaks the leg. You can feel it just break that bone. But as that happens, I imagine maybe like you come around with your battle axe, through the pain and the mud and everything, and you just right, and you lodge it right into his his back, because he kind of had to come down, and so you managed to put it into his back. Now, maybe not into his back. Do you want him to die or do you want him to live?
No. He can hit me in the side. I think he wanted that legitimately, but I'll be screaming when I'm down in the mud, and they're going to let him finish me off. I think he needs to come down with the axe and dispatch me. But as I'm laying there, you'll see a smile come over my face because I've had this epic battle, and I'll look and I'll breathe. Take him to Ivar as I'm doing a death rattle, and you can hear it rattle down.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm laying there in the mud as the still rain is over me, and in my head I'll turn to the side and I let go. So I've won a little bit of respect amongst my comrades. Mm-hmm. But as I look at your car, mm-hmm. that's when I'll say take him to Ivar, okay. And I'll pass away at that moment.
Okay. So I'll narrate this really quickly. So Yakra, you'll see this, and Grom, you will as well, right? But almost as if so night has descended, but the rain is still coming down, and there's this huge crack of thunder, and this big lightning bolt comes down, and it seems really close. It didn't actually hit inside the palisade, but it was very close. But in that moment, it's almost blinding, right? And when you kind of open your eyes again, both of you'll see the doors to the corpse hall, they've opened, right? And that's why it's very bright in there, right? And so as your eyes are kind of adjusting, you'll see this figure coming out, large in armor, these big wings on the back, and she comes over to you, Grom, and she picks you up, and she kind of leans down and grabs your axe and hands it to you, and she kind of motions for you to come into the hall here, right? And as you're kind of going with her, you start to see friends and family members and people that you knew, even some enemies that you had vanquished on the battlefield, right? They're waving to you, welcome, come in. And they, they're holding up the horns for you, and let's go. Yeah. And so as you're kind of going into the corpse hall, resplendent in your best armor, your battle axe sheens like it was new. the victory is on you. And as you kind of turn back, you see Yakra there. That's the only person you can see, right? You can see Yakra. Everything else is sort of shrouded. But there is a raven sitting on Yakra's shoulder. And behind her, you get this vague image of like a hooded figure holding maybe like a staff or something. But on the opposite shoulder on that figure is a white raven sitting. And so with that, you take your place in the corpse hall with your friends and your family, a warrior fulfilling his destiny in the Viking way and making it to Valhalla.
And the doors will shut between us until the light goes out.
Yeah.
And the lightning flash fizzles out. I think Yakra kind of looks back down at the men from that, and then just hands in the air and Grom the curse no longer.
Yeah, and they give a cheer.
Like a cheer
and,
rallies out.
And at some point somebody in the group, whoever is sort of second in command, right, looks to you, Yakra, and they say, and you are blessed, a daughter of Odin. You are our good luck and our good fortune. You must accompany us back to Lord Ivar, and he must hear of your gifts. You telling us to close the door, that sealed the victory for us. And Grom having the courage to do it. The Skalds will sing about these days forever. And with that,
that's what they should.
And
that is
fade out.
Good, great,
good game.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I was hoping not to run up too close to 4:30, but I liked what you guys were doing there, so I wanted to.
It went a little long, but I liked the way the story was going. So,
yeah, I appreciate that. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you have to go to work. But if you want to, last words or anything, feel free to say anything. Or if you just want to say, hey, thanks, guys, bye, whatever, we're good. But yeah, Jory, whatever you want to do or say.
Yeah, no, I think I was playing kind of a passive and out of the way character for this run, but I kind of liked the way the story went, and I liked how I played into it. So it was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well,
thanks for running.
I know about playing passive characters in this game, so it can be a lot of fun, really, from a narrative perspective. So, but yeah, I really appreciate you jumping in and adding your interpretation of Yakra to our story. So, thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, appreciate it.
I'm gonna log off here, but thanks for the game.
All right. Take it easy. Right. So I'm going to stop the recording here. And then Del, if you want, we can sit and chat a couple minutes or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Cool.